Join me today as we talk about another 90s sci fi movie that I happen to see on streaming, Split Second. This is the Geek Ball channel. My name is Bobby, and we're doing another talking about a sci fi movie I caught on streaming. Today it's going to be Split Second with Rutger Hauer and Kim Cattrall. Now, like many of the other movies, I saw this movie once back in the 90s. This was on HBO, and I could have sworn at the time it was claimed to be an HBO original movie. And I think HBO bought the rights to lesser known movies or movies that weren't theatrically released or whatever, then claimed that they were HBO original movies. And whatever. But I think they did that a lot because there's definitely a lot of movies I remember HBO claiming were HBO original movies that I've now discovered no, someone else definitely made these. So anyway, this is another sci-fi movie. It's from early 90s. Takes place in 2008 in London. And the general idea, by the way, there's really nothing in this movie that needed it to be set in London. It could have been set basically anywhere. And I think it's very unlikely this was filmed in London. But maybe it was. So, the premise of the movie is that after global warming has fully kicked in and has begun destroying the environment, by 2008, London experiences a period of 40 days and 40 nights of rain, which has completely flooded the city. So all the roads are basically waterways at this point, and a lot of underground areas are flooded, which, although in hindsight, part of this movie takes place underground, which if the roads are completely flooded, the subway system should just be should be a submarine pen at that point. That would have to fill up first, I would think. So maybe I'm just overthinking that, or maybe they didn't think about it at all. Hoping you forgot that by the finale, I guess. So Rutger Hauer plays a specialist who goes after serial killers and people like that. And a few years ago, his partner was killed, and he thinks it's the same killer has come back. And all the pathology on serial killers says they shouldn't have. He gets assigned a new partner, and but by this point, he's major burnout. He's not sleeping much. He's going by purely on caffeine, chocolate, adrenaline. So. Like I said, he's convinced that the killer's back. And then a killing happens that seems to correspond with the old killings. So, they're like, all right, looks like he is back. So catch him this time or kill him. And the first victim that we see in the movie has their heart torn out. And eventually the killer mails the heart to Rutger Hauer's character and has clearly had a giant bite taken out of it. They do the mold, and it's got giant razor sharp teeth. So they're like, well, is this thing even a man? And ultimately they do a DNA test on it, and it has the DNA of everything it's bitten and everything, which includes Rutger Hauer. So his DNA is on there. His partner, because he gets attacked. I think his partner. His old partner. And several of the victims, plus there's also some other element to the DNA that explains why it's mutating, essentially. There's also rat DNA in there. And so he's basically fighting a creature, but that is taunting him like a man. So I assume the implication is it was a man at some point. That they're kind of light on explanation on that one, unless I missed it. But they're definitely not light on the fact that regular guns will not do a damn thing to this thing, and it's quite tall. It's not to the end of the movie that you actually get to see a decent look at it. I think you actually see it better on the cover of the movie than you do in the movie. It has some resemblance to the xenomorph from Aliens, although the overall pattern of the movie is closer to Predator 2, rather, where you've got an alien monstrosity taunting a police detective. So yeah, so you've got the aspects of, oh, London's flooded because of global warming. So that's part A of your sci-fi element, but then you also have the creature. So this is pretty far into the sci-fi territory. Again, farther than like Class of 1999 or Dark Angel. Not probably not quite as deep in as Free Jack was, because Free Jack, like I said, it involved like some real questions about the actual the spiritual switchboard thing, the morality of using it, and so on, the loss of self, things like that. This is what if I guess this would essentially be, what if Al Gore was not just right? What if Al Gore was actually wrong, and things were way worse? And then by 2008, we have flooded London and poison cloud skies and things like that, coupled with weird alien-like monster. So that's our backdrop. Rutger Hauer generally walks around being a pain in the ass towards everybody. He's very grumpy, and he apparently had an affair with his partner's wife, played by Kim Cattrall. And for the younger viewers out there, if there happen to be any, it, there or parents concerned about such things, it's primarily violence, but there is one nude scene with Kim Cattrall, and yeah, but it's mainly like the R rating's mainly for violence and language. Now, as far as other stars in it, I personally didn't recognize his partner, but looking through his IMDb page, he has a lot of voice credits in a lot of video games, but he also has like bit parts in like Hercules and Xena and basically every TV show for the 90s and early 2000s. He's probably in them somewhere. Like, I think I even saw a Murder She Wrote credit in there somewhere. But the guy looked familiar, which is why I was checking, because I thought I'd seen him elsewhere, but I don't know that I actually have. The police chief is definitely someone that I've seen in other movies. He's an English actor, but it's hard to explain. I can't think of any of the movies off the top of my head that I've seen him in. But if you've seen many other English movies, like, I'm not saying this is an English movie, because obviously Rutger Hauer is not English. He was Kim Cattrall. But, he's he has a face that you'd remember, but I don't know his name. And I know it's not very helpful. It's a terrible review method I've got going on here. I should have definitely taken better notes, because I do have some notes, but not about that guy. And then there's one of the other cops that's kind of recognizable. He was in Alien 3 as one of the prisoners, which doesn't help. But if you've seen The Usual Suspects, he is the lawyer Kobayashi. Or also, if you've seen The Usual Suspects, maybe he isn't. You have to see the end of the movie to get what I'm saying there. And that's one of the few movies that's on my list of I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. So, but yeah, and then you got other parts here and there, like there's one guy. He was the rat catcher, and again, this is why I don't know unless it's taking place in London, because he's an American, and the guy that plays him is also in Dark Angel as an informant that Dolph Lundgren goes and busts his balls in a pool hall trying to get information out of him, and yeah, and he's other stuff in the background here and there. But anyway, it's mainly a creature feature, which you don't really see much of the creature until the end of the movie. You just see bits and pieces of it here and there, and by that I mean like you see the effect of it going, like it smashes through walls and stuff, and you see the walls once it's done. So you really don't see it till the end of the movie, where they fight it in the London Underground, where it has created a trap to lure Rutger Hauer and his partner down there. But other than that, I mean, it's a decent enough action movie, except you never see what anyone's shooting at. So, that's kind of sketchy. I mean, Predator made that work up to a point, but after the thing got shot, you finally got to see it. So, and then from then on, the confrontation becomes a little more personal. But I guess in Predator, you really don't until the final battle. I mean, it shoots at them occasionally, and they shoot at it, but you don't see it. Like, it kills Billy without you ever seeing it. It kills Poncho without you ever seeing it. And it's not until Arnold actually confronts it at the end, where it decloaks because it's fallen in the water, that the two of them actually see each other. And it's not really until a fight at the end. So, I mean, it can work, but we got more of it before that point. Plus, there's the raid on the commie base there, and that's a big action set piece. So there you get to see what they're shooting at very clearly. Whereas here again, you're seeing the after effects. Like, you see the body once it tore the heart out of somebody, and you see Rutger Hauer running around and shooting at it, maybe, or just shooting up in the air in frustration. So it's not so much an action movie. It's not a who done it, because it's more of a what done it, I guess. Plus, basically just seeing Rutger Hauer being crazy. Not quite as entertaining as seeing Dennis Hopper high out of his mind on cocaine in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, or Apocalypse Now, or probably any movie he made before like 2005. Yeah, so definitely not quite as entertaining as that, but it is entertaining. I would say overall it's probably 5.5, maybe 6. I do think, I think of these movies that I've been talking about here lately, I think Dark Angel is the better movie, and I think Free Jack was a better movie. But for a lower budget movie, I say lower budget, they had to find some place they could flood to drive around in all the time. So I don't know what kind of budget this movie had. It could have been high for the actors, because, I mean, I love Rutger Hauer as an actor, but he's not a man that commands a high salary. Kim Control, I don't think ever was anyone that commanded a big salary. So, and everyone else is, they're guys that are in other movies, but they're not like, oh, if I say this guy's name, you'll know who I'm talking about. No, you won't. So anyway, check it out if you like creature features. It's fairly short. I think it's only like an hour and a half. I suppose check it out if you want to see more of Kim Cattrall than you usually see. Although I'm given to understand there's probably better places for that if you're really into that. It's a whole story about Star Trek 6 I'm not going to go into. But anyway, let me know if you guys have seen this movie down in the comments. What'd you think? Are you going to check it out? Again, as of this recording, I saw this on Amazon Prime. But this is, again, it's the kind of movie, Rutger Hauer's got a name, so this might show up on a different streaming service at some point. It might be on a different streaming service right now. That's where I came across it. So there is a link down in the description. Not all these movies I'm going to be talking about are movies I found on Amazon Prime. Like, I'm pretty sure the next movie I'm going to talk about is Chain Reaction. I don't know if that's on Prime or not. I've got a copy of it on Vudu, which is now like Fandango at Home or something. So that's where my copy is. And that's where I'm going to be talking about it. But no, I got to thinking there's just a huge list of 90s sci-fi movies I could talk about. And I mean, there's the big ones in there, like The Matrix or Independence Day. I suppose technically Twister is a sci-fi movie. Maybe. That one's probably a stretch. Not a twist, but probably a stretch. So yeah, if there's any 90s sci-fi movies you guys want me to look into and talk about, and if it's something super obscure that I've never seen, I will definitely check it out if I can find it online somewhere. And by that, I mean like reputable. I'm not talking about hoisting the black flag and sailing the high seas, to be clear. Or if I somehow bought a copy of it and never watched it myself, which that happens more than you think. That's even happened with some of my digital movies. There's like 2 or 3 I bought that I haven't watched yet. And I bought them months ago. But anyway, that's a whole other topic for a whole other day. So, like I said, let me know down in the comments, if there's some movie you want me to talk about. Have you seen this movie? What did you think of it? Are you going to check it out? You're a Rutger Hauer fan? Any of those things are great. Kim Cattrall fan, But otherwise, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And in the meantime, we will see you folks later.